So Playboi Cartis Opium is one of the most polarizing labels in recent years, with Carti signing future rap superstars such as Carson and Destroy Lonely. And with the label first being officially put together around 2020 to 2021, the label as a whole has changed a lot when it comes to music wise, aesthetics, and just each of the artists' careers in general. In 2025, a lot of fans miss the older Opium years with the projects that have dropped recently. But in this video, let's take a look at the overall Opium evolution, each of the eras of this label, and look at the future of Opium. And now taking it back to the early days of Opium back in 2020. Now, as you guys may know, Ken and Carti have been locked in for years, with Ken always having family ties with big names in the ATL hip-hop scene like 808 Mafia. And like, bro, there's pictures of Ken as a fetus and Whole Lotta Red V2 blonde Carti, which, yeah, just seeing this now is just so crazy. And Ken would also become the first artist signed to Opium. He'd obviously drop his first tape, that being Boy Barbie, back in 2020. And yeah, this era as a whole, in my opinion, was just very special. Like, I remember, during this time period, people thought that, yeah, Lancey Foe wasn't assigned to Opium. So yeah, it was definitely a crazy era indeed. And Ken's music back then sounded very, very different. And that same year, Ken would also go in the Teen X era, which, looking back on it, is still a very, very goated era, with Teen X having Ken's biggest song ever, that being Yale. And the producers that Ken was working with in this time period, like Starboy and Out of Town, definitely helped to take Ken's sound to a whole new level. And the evolution from Boy Barbie to Teen X was just a night and day difference, honestly, bro. And in 2020 as a whole, Ken was the only artist signed to Opium at that point, as well as other affiliates such as Lil Unky. And yo, Unky was pushing the Opium aesthetic, with Carti also being seen listening to his music as well. And yeah, I don't know if Unky was signed for real, but yeah, and he actually was definitely working with Opium during this time period, and also being seen with other Opium affiliates as well. Also, Ken was even gonna drop a Boy Barbie 2 in summer 2020, but ended up not doing it because of COVID, as he couldn't perform the album live. But he did end up announcing the Teen X Deluxe, which wouldn't end up dropping until that next year. And yeah, at this time, Opium wasn't announced by Carti officially. As you guys may know, Carti was very mysterious during the Whole Lotta Red era, and a lot of the news from the label would be given through Carti affiliates and producers, such as when Whole Lotta Red might drop, and just overall updates on Carti in general. And which, yeah, this was a very, very crazy time to being a Carti fan. And yeah, when Whole Lotta Red did drop, a song in particular on this album, Bino, would have a very special connection to the label, with Ken producing this song, and this song referencing Homicide Bino, who would later sign to Opium. And also, fun fact, Ken's first manager ever was Homicide Bino, which is kind of fucking crazy. But yeah, Whole Lotta Red would drop, which would mean that Carti can finally be in the position to push his own artist and let his artist drop in 2021. And now in early 2021 in January, Ken would be seen more in the media, dropping Teen X Relapse, doing a lot more interviews, and being involved in the underground. And also dyeing his hair blonde, with all of the artists at this time period in Opium having blonde or silver hair, like Lancey, Lone, Carti, Ken. A lot of fans did have this theory that, hey, is there a, Opium collab tape on the way? But yeah, that obviously
it did not end up happening.
Also, Ken would be pushing this Teen X party aesthetic. Like, it was actually super cool looking back on it. Like, it was a lot less darker than the aesthetic that he is pushing nowadays. It was just overall that teenager carefree lifestyle, and just overall fun music in general. And he'd also be doing shows around this time period, building a fan base slowly. Like, if you watch Wish for Glory's videos back then in 2021 with Ken's older concerts, if you guys do watch those older Ken concerts, bro, it's crazy seeing how far Ken did indeed come. And during this time period, another ATL artist would also sign to Opium, that being Destroy Lonely. Now, hey, Lone would be getting buzz around 2020, and he was dropping SoundCloud tapes that were pushing him in the ATL scene even more. This is also the same time that people would see Destroy Lonely's real personality and his aesthetic and fashion in general aligning with Carti's fashion, with Lone being super tapped in with Rick and Balenciaga and all of Carti's favorite brands and stuff. And he'd also be pushing his next album, No Stylist, which wouldn't end up dropping dropping like till years later. And he would drop Broken Hearts 1 and 2, which were fucking classics. And for one of these songs on those albums, oh yeah, and he would post a snippet of the music video on his Instagram. One of Carti's closest friends, Opium Baby, aka the Opium A&R, would end up seeing it on his Instagram, which would lead to Carti tapping in, and Carti officially signing Lone in 2021, with Lone even confirming it on an Instagram live. From here, Ken and Lone would be seen a lot together birthing the Opium twins. Apparently Ken and Lone knew each other way before this, but yeah, it is cool seeing their come up regardless. At this time period with Carti, like, you know, gaining more popularity with fans finally fucking with Whole Lotta Red and not fucking bashing it, this would lead to Carti fans tapping into Ken and Lone, and like, bro, Ken and Lone were literally taking over 2021 with a lot of Lone's older music blowing up on TikTok, like his song Bane and other songs like, I don't know, Oh Yeah, Miley Cyrus, and of course Ken as well being the front pioneer of the 2021 underground alongside the SG Kobe and Sofego. And now this era of Ken is still my favorite from him, bro. Like, I remember, and when, like, you know, Ken was teasing his tape Project X, this was just say overall such a fun era. It's like this album Project X, which is overall a very, very fun album with Ken being big on that party lifestyle, and of course Ken paying homage to the official Project X movie with the cover. And with Ken gaining buzz in the underground, a lot of fans were waiting for Project X. When this project did drop in July of 2021, a lot of fans were shocked because the production on this album would be a huge improvement from his last tapes. With this album being the first album officially put out by Opium, it would lead to this album gaining hella popularity. And yeah, this is the time period where a lot of Carti fans would start listening to Ken and just hip-hop fans in general. And yeah, this project is literally a masterpiece with songs like Rock and Roll and Run Plus Ram, like, you know, blowing up. I remember those songs were on repeat for me that summer, and a lot of people would start fucking with this energy as Ken would be seen in the media a lot, and a lot of fans, like, you know, would call him fucking Goomba and shit. And also Ken would be seen working with other underground artists and, I don't know, open up for, like, you know, Trippy Show in LA, and a lot of other mainstream artists would catch on. And yeah, this would be the start to the Ken takeover. And also Ken would drop the Lost Files tapes, which had become a staple in the Ken Carson community, with him dropping Lost Files 1 and 2 that year. And also later that year, close affiliates would officially sign to Opium, that being Bino and Michi under the duo Homicide Gang, which would lead to all of them opening up for Carti for the King Bam tour, which would of course bring more exposure to them overall. Also this year, I forgot to mention, was of course the Narcissus era for Carti, and a lot of the Opium artists and Opium affiliates were seen wearing the Narcissus merch. So yeah, I feel like if this album did end up dropping, I feel like Ken and Lone could have featured on this album, and yeah, that shit would have went stupid. And also around this time period, Carti was only getting bigger and bigger, because with the King Bam tour starting, fans started to realize that yeah, Whole Lotta Red sounds way better being performed live. And yeah, Carti was just only getting bigger and bigger. Whole Lotta Red was fairly new at the time. Of course, Ken was being seen as the next big artist, as well as Lone, with hella Lone songs leaking. Like, bro, the Destroy Lonely archive was booming at this time, and of course Homicide Gang being introduced to the label. And now in 2022, and yeah, this is a lot of people's favorite year of Opium. A lot of people do say that yeah, this is peak Opium, and honestly I would not disagree. Starting off the year, Ken would drop Lost Files 3, which, yo, I remember hearing Murder music for the first time and I was like, yeah, Ken and Lone are going so up. And also this year was very, very frustrating for Carti fans, because Carti wasn't doing nothing this year besides introducing that clown era aesthetic and working with Ye. But I'm not gonna lie, Carti's overall, I don't know, vibe or aesthetic was just honestly very, very cool, very, very underrated, very, very
mysterious.
But yeah, besides that, Carti ain't do anything in this year besides mass posting on the Opium account. But Ken was going crazy, dropping Teen Bean, and everyone was waiting for his next Project X, aka X-Man. And a lot of these snippets during the X-Man rollout were just like so peak. Like, bro, I remember the Green Day freaking snippet had everyone in an absolute chokehold, bro. Oh my god, aka the end, of course. And he'd also dye half of his hair black, paying homage to X. And yeah, just overall being a very iconic era looking back on it. And also around this time period, Ken would also lie hella, man. Like, I remember when everyone thought that X was dropping in May, this would be a trend for the years to follow of Opium artists lying. And yeah, also one thing that I do want to put out is that Ken would be very, very close with Yeet during this year. And just, I don't know, bro, like this could have been the biggest duo of this generation. It's like, bro, Lil 88, why? And it's like seeing Yeet, Ken and Lone on the same stage is just us fans, and we'll never see anything like this ever again. Like, this was seriously a time, gang. This was also the same year that Ken would also, like, you know, have the best shows ever, bro. X would finally drop, and a lot of fans weren't messing with this project at first, saying that, yeah, Project X is better. Personally, I also do think that Project X is better, but no, X still has mad hits, bro. Like Freestyle 2, Please Don't Blow My High, oh my god. And when Ken was performing this album during the X-Men tour, bro, you just had to be there. Also, if y'all do remember when Ken brought out Lone during Rolling Loud, bro, this set was literally the turning point in Ken's career overall. Here is a flashback. Yeah, speaking of Lone, fans were waiting for his next album, No Styles, which was teased for like years up until that point. But then bro would drop it during Ken's tour, and yeah, this album shocked everyone, bro. Like, the overall aesthetic that Lone did have during this era was just fucking fire, with the references to, like, you know, Crystal Castles and the samples of Deftones with Swag Schools. And yeah, this album in general was just special, and the like beats and everything was just all perfect. Lone actually sounded hungry on this album. And yeah, also kind of off topic, but yo, if Carti was spotted this year, everyone would go fucking bonkers. Like, I remember, and when, like, you know, Carti did show up to Ken's show in ATL, and everyone was like, oh my god, oh my god. But yeah, this just goes to show how rare Carti was. Like, Carti was a rare Pokemon during this year. Anyways, going back to Lone, yeah, he was seen as the spotlight of Opium after this album did drop, I remember, and there were a lot of debates on what's better, No Styles or X. But yeah, this was, in my opinion, peak Lone. And he'd also dropped No Styles Ultra, which was also fucking amazing because it has my favorite Lone song of all time, Never Ever, bro. Like, that shit's, oh my god, bro. What an era, man. What a freaking era. And we literally got 3 Opium albums back to back with Homicide Gang dropping their best album, Homicide Lifestyle, featuring Ken and Lone. So yeah, it was so cool to see the Opium artists feature each other on their projects and, like, you know, not feature any outside mainstream artists. So yeah, that was super cool. Us fans were definitely feasting back then. This year, we had peak Lone, peak Homicide, arguably peak Ken, and peak Carti. If y'all do remember, bro, Carti was obviously very mysterious during this era until the very end of that year on Christmas. This motherfucker teased music, the cover, and a few tracks, which I remember everyone freaking out, but then he didn't end up dropping anything. He, like, you know, fucking tweet this shit, but it's just, you know, but 6 songs would end up leaking, like YSL Cheetah and Never Seen Shit. Oh my gosh, bro, that was a crazy time. Everything that did get associated to Carti this year would just blow up. Like, Carti actually had immense aura, and of course, with Carti being so mysterious, it would lead to his artists only blowing out more and more. And now 2023 would also be a very good year for Opium. To start off, we would get another Lost Files from Ken, that being the last one, Lost Files 4. I mean, and he is dropping Lost Files 5 soon, but who knows. And at the start of this year, Carti would be active for once, being arrested and delaying like V2 of music, which was supposed to drop on January 13th of that year, but of course, due to his arrest, he did end up pushing it back. And this was also the time that the music rollout would take over, with Carti working with Swamp Izzo, with Swamp Izzo even saying that the album is done in February of that year, which was just so cap. And yo, I know y'all do remember when Carti previewed Rockstar at Rolling Loud, bruh. I don't care what anyone says, this was peak music hype. If Carti dropped music in 2023, this version could have been better than the version that we did end up getting, bruh. I can't lie. And also, Lone was very active once again. I remember at this point, a lot of fans had Lone over Ken, and he was teasing his next album, If Looks Could Kill. Like, I remember the If Looks Could Kill single had everyone in a chokehold, and yeah, it dropped and it took Lone to a whole new level. And yeah, Lone during this time with If Looks Could Kill, it was actually a pretty underrated era. Like, the aesthetic was fire with the mask and cover, like, you know, being inspired by horror movies. And yeah, this is also the time where all of us would see Opium be more inspired by dark stuff like scary movies and just, you know, overall darker aesthetics. Like, yeah, this was the time where every other rapper was biting Opium. Like, Like, bro, we literally had Rich the Kid biting opium. Like, it was actually fucking insane. And the album dropped, and looking back on it, this might be a crazy statement, but this might be my favorite Lone album, man. I know it was a very long album with like damn near 30 songs, but yo, this album has, in my opinion, some of the best Lone songs ever, and also has the best Ken and Lone song with Money and Sex. Like, that shit still goes stupid. Other songs like How You Feel with Brazy Girls, I wish he went on tour for this album because there were some crazy songs on this project, and it was so cool seeing the evolution of Lone at that point. And this album would officially put Lone in the mainstream, selling 35k. So yeah, it was a good time to be a Lone fan. Homicide 2, if y'all do and remember, they actually did drop Not or Not, which is probably like, you know, my favorite album from them. I don't know why, I have like very good memories from this album with like Uzi work and Block work and stuff like that. And for Ken, he was nowhere to be seen like the first half of fucking 2023, bro. I remember Ken was saying that yeah, he might not even drop a project this year, and he was teasing a new sound and a new album. And yeah, all of us thought it was gonna be the self-titled, like, you know, Ken Carson album, but he would tease a Great Chaos dropping on July 17th with this tweet, and the V1 track list being shown as well, having 14 tracks, which was very different than the version that we did end up getting, with this version being scrapped later due to label issues. But yeah, the Great Chaos hype and rollout was insane. Like, I remember the gore aesthetic and Ken posting on his Great Chaos Instagram account. Ken, of course, had more of a darker aesthetic, moving away from that more hype upbeat vibe that he was on with X and Project X. And yeah, the promo was amazing, and yeah, the hype was there. When this album dropped on Halloween, bruh, you just had to be there. This album shocked everyone. It outstreamed Offset with 14 million streams first day. It was posted by Drake, and it was just breaking records. And yeah, this is still, in my opinion, one of the best overall Opium albums. Like, bro, Fighting My Demons would just fucking break records. And yeah, this is one of the very few albums that I would say have no misses. And yeah, looking back on it, and yeah, this album definitely changed Ken's career forever. Like, he would never look back on the underground ever. After Ken's takeover, he would obviously be up the rest of the year, and in December, Carti would finally return 3 years after with the Iron Music rollout, teasing the official logo, being like, you know, more active, and finally dropping music with Different Day, Hope by Air, and 2024. Now yo, this was peak Carti hype. Seeing Black Hind, like, you know, make those crazy announcements, like, oh my god, it was a special time. But yeah, this year overall was pretty good, and we, like, you know, got music from all Opium members. Overall, the best album from Ken, good album from Lone and Homicide. Not a bad year. I feel like this was the year that people started to take notice of Opium, and Ken and Lone became mainstream during this era. And also, Antagonist V1 was supposed to take place this year, but would obviously not. In the start of 2024 would be all Carti. Like, Carti would be pushing the music aesthetic, the music rollout, dropping Evil Jordan, Backrooms, working with Ye a lot with Vultures. And also this year, Carti would be cheat coding his monthly listeners up, working with bigger artists, working with guys like Travis, The Weeknd, Future, Ye, of course. And yo, he wasn't clearing any other artists who were smaller than him. Like, I remember he was supposed to be on Kid Cudi's album. Nope, scrap that. Which was so he can keep his mysterious aesthetic, and it got so bad. It got so bad that this would pull up to Aiden Ross's stream, got paid like fucking 2 mil, and then dipped after 5 minutes, which was just, you know, so crazy. But yeah, man, this whole year, Carti was just aura farming and was just trying to be in the public eye more. Amber type shit was a hit, and which obviously had Ken, Bino, and Michi in the video, which was pretty cool. Ken was still going crazy with Overseas. That shit broke records for him, having like 2 mil like first day, and he dropped the A Great Chaos Deluxe and was seriously becoming a superstar. Like, bro, I think we're forgetting Sydney Sweeney became a hit, bro. Like, this shit was insane. But yeah, seeing Ken's growth around this time was just so fascinating, and his Chaos Tour 2 was just honestly, bro, craziest concert that I've ever been to. Lone 2, a lot of fans were waiting on a new Lone album after If Looks Could Kill wasn't received well. Love Lasts Forever would drop that summer, and again, this album wasn't received the best due to fans missing that old sound that did make Lone originally blow up. And yeah, Lone on this album was pushing a different aesthetic, a different sound, with him having a more trap ATL sound, working with Lil 88. Personally, I felt with this album a lot. Looking back on it, it was pretty nostalgic for me. And for Ken, he will be teasing his next album, More Chaos, which was supposed to drop in October of that year, but didn't. Homicide Gang 2, I forgot to mention, did drop I5, U5, We5, not a bad project. But in fall of that year, Carti would return with the new fit pics being inspired by vintage 2000s Wayne fits with the, like, you know, backwards jerseys and like the caps and shit, being reposted by NBA teams as well, which I don't know how bro even pulled this shit off. This was a crazy time. Like, Amber All Red would also drop, Timeless as well. And if y'all do remember, bro, Carti fans were rocking the backwards jersey and shit, bro. Like, this dude Carti seriously had fashion in a chokehold once again. But yeah, man, I feel like overall this year was low-key a underrated year for Opium, and we obviously had that Lone project. Carti was active, no Ken album, but that would then lead us to 2025. This year, 2025, the start of this year would be again all Carti. Last year, Carti was working in caves with like the cave era, making songs like Roar and Doctor. This year, he was working with Mike Dean, seriously upping the production. And he'd also started the album rollout to iMusic with the, like, you know, billboards and stuff, and then drop it on March 13th, finally with 30 songs. About damn time. It was a huge moment for Opium. When this album dropped, it had a lot of mixed opinions from fans and stuff. This is still my personal album of the year. I remember that night when music like fucking did drop, bro. It was a crazy fucking night because this dude dropped at like what, 6 a.m, 7 a.m. But yeah, after music dropped, More Chaos would drop by Ken. And yeah, it was just, you know, crazy getting back-to-back albums from Ken and Carti. Ken dropped More Chaos, which also wasn't loved by fans, as fans were missing that old Ken sound after the Chaos sound did push Ken into the mainstream. So yeah, man, we did finally get the Opium collab with Off the Meter, which, hey bro, finally Carti gave that goddamn feature. I actually did think that, yeah, this song was gonna be fucking, like, you know, bigger. But yeah, W Carti, Ken is teasing his next project, that being Experiment. Carti is teasing Baby Boy. Lone, of course, was teasing Broken Arts 3 after the fans did want the old Lone, and even Homicide fans did want the old Homicide Gang, which Homicide Gang would drop Homicide Lifestyle 2, which is a sequel to like their fucking best project, which, hey, honestly, this is a great project. I just think 25 tracks is just, you know, too much. Broken Arts 3 would end up dropping yesterday, with also again I'm seeing mixed reviews on this album. So yeah, man, all 4 albums that did end up dropping this year from Opium didn't get the best overall perception. Broken Arts 3, I feel like is still too early to judge on. Hey bro, I fuck with this album heavy. Is it his best album? No, but since this album did drop, a lot of people are saying that, yeah, Opium aren't hitting like they used to, and like they are missing the old Opium. Even the Ken and Lone song that did end up dropping on Broken Arts 3, Open It Up, in my opinion, is their worst song. It's like, bro, they have so many better songs like MDMA, Murder Music, Money and Sex. Like, bro, those all fucking white. But, and we are apparently gonna get a Ken and Lone tape soon, hopefully. And also, Lone did tease a new album called Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is a honestly pretty, you know, hard name. And yeah, Ken's probably dropping soon, and of course Baby Boy, and the Antagonist tour is happening soon. So yeah, man, 2025 ain't over yet. Maybe Carti is gonna drop again this year. But yeah, overall, that is the evolution of Opium. Currently, we have Ken experimenting. Lone, of course, dropped Broken Arts 3. Homicide is doing their thing. Carti signed a new artist, Apollo Red. So yeah, this label has definitely changed a lot since 2020. I feel like all of the artists are at their peak in terms of their career, maybe not music wise, but yeah, I wouldn't say any of these artists on this label are washed or fallen off. Opium is still in a good position overall. But yeah, man, thank y'all for making it to the end of the video breaking down Opium. It's been your homie M Chen, man. Love y'all. It's been a long ass video, man. Time to freaking edit this shit. But yeah, man, love y'all. We out.